could be possible. Signal strength was represented by numbers 1 through 9, with 1 being the weakest. Beyond 9, the computer started using letters, beginning with A. The signal was so strong that it reached the letter U. On August 19, 1977, astronomer Jerry Ayman, while going over the data recollected on previous days, found an anomaly. In astonishment, he writes, "Wow," on the margins. The signal lasted for 72 seconds, and it bore all the expected characteristics of an intelligent extraterrestrial origin. The wow signal remains to this day the most enigmatic electromagnetic phenomenon ever detected. The Big Ear telescope was a fixed-array detector, relying on Earth rotation to sweep a thin band of sky. By knowing the exact time the signal was received and where the telescope was pointed at the moment, they calculated the celestial longitude. This placed the signal origins near a group of stars in the Sagittarius constellation, known as Sagittarius. After numerous attempts through the decades that followed, the signal was never detected again. 48 years later, on July 1st, 2025, a stellar object named 3I Atlas is detected, originating from the same region of space as the WOW signal. Speculations arises. Could this be an extraterrestrial ship? Or perhaps a von Neumann probe, a self-replicating spacecraft designed to explore the galaxy? 3I Atlas stands for Third Interstellar Object, meaning it's not from our solar system. The first one detected was omuamua, then came Boris, but none have been so bizarre as 3I Atlas. Its orbit is perfectly aligned with the planetary orbital plane. It has kept a more or less constant speed. Comets speed up as they come closer to the Sun from ejection of material that eventually becomes what we see as a tail from Earth. It will pass close to Venus, Mars, and Jupiter, the perfect timing and orbit to do a pass away of Earth's eyes, as we will be on the other side of the solar system. Its chemical composition is like nothing we have ever seen, almost like being designed for stellar travel, surrounded by water that's covered in carbon, the perfect anti-radiation shield. All things described by astrophysicist and Harvard professor Avi Loeb, who has given 3I Atlas a 50% chance of not being a natural object, but an engineered one. It's an eerie thought, yet it offers a compelling answer to the Fermi paradox. Where is everybody? The unsettling possibility is that everyone is deliberately concealing themselves. This idea aligns with the dark forest theory, a concept so chilling that it suggests solitude might be preferable. The dark forest theory poses that the galaxy operates on Darwinian principles. The strong survive and the weak perish. But it takes this notion further, implying that the weak ensure no one attracts the attention of the strong. Meanwhile, even the strong exist in silence, constantly questioning whether they are powerful enough to withstand the potential threats. Such a theory paints the cosmos as a vast, silent wilderness where survival depends on remaining unseen. On October 19, 2017, Oumuamua posed the same question. Could it be something not natural? The asteroid spin around every 8 hours, but its reflection output increased by a factor of 10, meaning it was flat, resembling a disk. And even though it didn't produce a tail, it increased its speed. The only possible explanation? The object was being accelerated by solar wind, or technology. The problem with that explanation is that Oumuamua must have been extremely thin, like a sail, in order to achieve its new speed. It was Professor Avi Loeb who published the first paper concerning the oddities of Oumuamua. To this day, the behavior of Oumuamua remains unexplained. Scientific speculation exists in both extremes of the spectrum. Some say it's a regular object with weird characteristics. Others, like Professor Avi Loeb, says that we need to assume less outlandish explanations if we consider that Oumuamua is a message in a bottle, a probe. Both theories require cherry-picking data to fit the explanation. Oumuamua will remain a mystery, as its velocity is too great to be catched. If catching such objects is the first test of our worthiness of first contact, we have failed miserably. Several projects were proposed to have ready available rockets to catch up with these interstellar objects and study them up close, but none of them went through. They say that Oumuamua was an event in 100 years. 8 years later, 3I Atlas appeared in the skies. and we were not ready. So if this is a test to see if our technology is ready to catch up one of these things and then open the message in the bottle, we were not worthy once again. But in this channel we are objectively scientific and data driven, and even when analyzing the most disturbing paranormal phenomena, if we cannot explain them, we accept that we cannot explain them, we give credit where credit is due. Sadly for 3i Atlas, this is not the case. As much as I would love for 3i Atlas to be a spacecraft or a probe, we cannot say it is. 3i Atlas was formed 7.5 billion years ago. Remember, the universe has been around for 13.5 billion years. The solar system for 5 billion years and Earth for 4.5 billion years. One of its oddities is that it's the oldest thing that we have ever seen, up close. It still has its mysteries. It's glowing green, which is a mystery in itself, but a chemical mystery. Nevertheless, it gives clues where it's from, with a high content in carbon, low on water and traces of nickel, with no heavy elements. It could only be from the thick disk of the Milky Way, in layman's terms, close to the center, and not from a spiral arm, like the solar system, a region that is poor in heavy elements. So we cannot assume that it's from an extraterrestrial civilization, since the place that it comes from is not conducive for life, and neither is the time that it was formed. And sadly, for conspiracy theorists, they have a claim, a valid one. The government shutdown when it went through Mars has left the scientific community with no close-up pictures. We only have the ones from the European mission, which lack the equipment to get really good close-ups. So what would we need to classify an interstellar object as being from extraterrestrial origins? Well, it would have to decelerate or accelerate sharply. It would need to change directions sharply, have chemical signatures of composite materials in its surface, like carbon fiber, ceramics, steel, or other exotic materials that are not natural. It would need to generate an electromagnetic field and have a heat signature beyond what it's reflecting from the sun. So going back to omuamua, from the scientific perspective, the answer would be the data shows behavior we don't understand on this one. And to explain it scientifically, we would need to make some wild assumptions. In fact, if we accept that it comes from aliens, we would need to make less wild assumptions. So there is always a possibility, but we will never know. And what about the wow signal? Well, in 2020, new analysis from the raw data showed that the wow signal was in fact more weird than we thought. It is still the strongest signal that we have ever picked from deep space, but it turned to be stronger than what we originally had measured. Much more stronger, which posed a problem. Through the years, this phenomena has been seen, but not at those power levels. The most accepted theory determined its origin was from super radiant burst from a hydrogen cloud, caused by a magnetar's energy hitting the cloud at an angle. This phenomena is somewhat like pointing a laser into a pool of water. It will deflect, and it would boil the water and generate water vapor. And if you measure it from afar, what you would measure is water vapor. In this case, it hit a hydrogen cloud, and what we get is hydrogen radio frequencies. Like I said, the phenomena is not new, and through the years it had been observed. Nevertheless, the wow signal presents a significant challenge. Because of its strength, we have never seen something equal to it. So until scientists can match this strength to another observable phenomena, we don't have a definite answer. So there still exists a very minute possibility that the wow signal did come from extraterrestrials. Granted, it would have to be a type 3 civilization, meaning that they control black holes. I'm not sure we would want to contact them. We would be less than ants for a civilization of that level, more like pollen or fungi, and we wouldn't want them to have an itch from us and them scratching, would we? My mind keeps going back to the dark forest theory whenever I think about these topics. See, if you're a type 3 civilization, you're basically immortal. So we as territorial, xenophobic, violent apes could definitely become a problem in the future for them. At some point in the future, conflict would be inevitable. And if you are immortal, it is not a their problem in the future kind of scenario, it's an us problem that's going to happen. So it would be very tempting to wipe out those civilizations while they're young, than to do it later when they can pose a threat. So my best bet is that if there is intelligent life in the galaxy, we live under a dark forest scenario. Now, if intelligent life happens like in every other galaxy every once in a while, then we're kind of safe. Now, intelligent life might be common in the galaxy, maybe, but life smart enough to develop FTL that's faster than light travel, that's another thing entirely. If we're among the less mentally fortunate in terms of intelligence, we might never get past the Great Filter. This means we would perish, stuck on Earth, and limited to its lifespan, assuming we don't destroy ourselves first. Another possibility is that we are the first intelligent civilization in the galaxy. In that case, we owe it to the galaxy to survive, and all our efforts should go towards developing FTL, because that's the only way out of this rock. However, that seems very unlikely. I think that we might be one of the intellectually challenged civilizations. It is tragic because I do believe that we have the capacity, but we lack the motivation. When it comes to FTL, the laws of cause and effect basically prohibits the concept. Even if we could build a warp drive, the universe would find a way how to stop us. That's based on what we know right now about the physical reality of the universe. So we need new physics to develop this. Now, I personally know that this is possible. When I was 19 years old, I actually saw a UFO, and it defied the laws of physics as we know them. Hey, I wasn't alone, I was with 5 other friends. So I know I didn't imagine that, and I am a skeptic at heart, always relying on the scientific method. But I saw what I saw. And that gives me hope that someday we might figure out how to achieve faster than light travel and get out of this rock and into the stars. But out of that experience, I got this sensation that we are like a zoo to them. They watch, but they don't help, but they don't harm. This gives me hopes that we don't live under a dark forest scenario in which nobody rises their heads, where the weak make sure that the other weak don't leave a trail to get back to them, where the strong live in silence, fearing they're not strong enough to whatever threat might be out there. And basically everybody lives with their heads in the sand, avoiding danger. But hopefully that's not reality. So that's all for today, friends. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. I hope you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.
The Buku Files!